Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum to all of you. I hope that you all are fine, happy and fresh. This is your social study teacher, Muhammad Mashood Khan, and we are discussing chapter number 20, that is the beginning and spread of Islam. So before we start the discussion about the exercise question answer, I will just recall that what we have studied in this chapter. So we have studied in this chapter that in Arabia, the great majority of the people worshipped a large number of different gods. It is before the arrival of Islam. And the main center of the worship was at Mecca, where there had been a shrine, the Kaaba, from very early times. The Kaaba had been built by the Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam and his son Hazrat Ismail alayhi salam as a special place for Allah's worship, but later it had become a pagan temple with hundreds of idols. Pagan means, like in Urdu we call it kafir. So it was a place for all the pagans to worship. So here at a specific times in year, people used to came from all over the country for a special worship and hold to great poetry festivals also. And there were some regular events that became both pilgrim for the pagan Arabs, and a trade fair for the merchants. So basically, like the Kaaba that was built by Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam and Hazrat Ismail alayhi salam, it was built for the worship of Allah. But later on, the people they took idols and they kept in the Kaaba and they used to worship it. And the place was famous for like for events. There was a festival being done in once a year, and there were poetries and different things were done in that festival. So this was an attraction for the merchants as well as for the people who used to worship there. And at that time, Makkah at that time was ruled by the Quraysh. That was a powerful tribe among them. The Bani Hashim, the ancestors of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, held a considerably important position. Then it was in Makkah that the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born in 570, and in 610 Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam proclaimed his prophethood, and the religion grew despite the strong opposition, because the people did not accept Islam immediately, and they stood against Islam, and they did not embrace Islam with open and big heart. Despite this, they stood against, and they used to torture the people who wanted to accept Islam or who accepted Islam at that time. So because of despite of all this strong opposition, Islam still was spreaded a lot in the different areas by the great leadership of Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And it was not the case that it was just spreaded by the power of sword, but Islam was spreaded by because of its good deed, because of the equality, and because of the rights given to the humans. So because of this, people then realized that they should accept Islam. So this is how Islam spreaded. Now we are going to discuss choose the correct answers, and then we will discuss the question answers. So the first one is, Arabia was a dash land. So we know that it is a desert land. So desert, option C is the correct answer. The second is, the Persian Empire was to the dash of Arabia. So it is to the north of Arabia. If you see the map, you will get to know that Persian Empire was to the north of Arabia. Dash was the good and wise god of Zoroastrians. So Ahura Mazda, that is written in your book, that Ahura Mazda was considered the good and wise god, because in Arabs they used to worship different gods. So Ahura Mazda was the one who was considered the good and the wise amongst the gods. The fourth one is the dash were Eastern Orthodox Christians. So Byzantines were the Eastern Orthodox Christians. So these were some choose the correct options. Now there is a question that what was the religion of the Arabs before the advent of Islam? So as we know that they used to worship idols, so they were pagans. The next question is who was the ruler of Abyssinia and what was his religion? So the ruler was Christian and he was called as Negus. Okay, the next interesting question is what is manjaniq and what is its use? So a manjaniq is a very large catapult used in battle to hurl rocks at enemy forts during a siege. So basically it's like a modern day cannon. When before the invent of the cannon it was like a manjaniq. I have shared a slide, so you can see this is a manjaniq. So in this manjaniq you can see there is an arm and there is a winch, and you can see there are stones, heavy stones kept. So this stone was taken and was kept in this bowl shape, and this was the entire this arm was taken down, and just like the we studied the elastic material in the science, so they used to stretch it and they used to release it. So when it was released, so this stone was thrown far to some distance, which used to damage the forts and the covers which the enemy had taken. So this was the manjaniq at that time, which nowadays modern days we used to say cannons. So the next question is what was the significant event that took place in the Arabia? So the significant event that took place in Arabia was the birth of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in 570, the revelation of the Quran to the Holy Prophet Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam at the beginning of the religion Islam. So this was the important event. One was the birth of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and second one was the revelation of the Quran. So these were the important significant events that took place in Arabia. The next question is why was he impressed by the Muslim migrants? So he was impressed by Jafar's reaction of Quranic verses in praise of the Hazrat Maryam alayhi salam and Hazrat Isa alayhi salam. The next question is where did Muslims migrate and why? So the early Muslims migrated to Abyssinia to escape harassment of the leaders in the Makkah. So while the Islam was spreading and it has a great effect on the people, so people who were converted to Islam, the other people who had not accepted the Islam, so they skipped because they wanted to get skipped from the harassment of the leaders of the Makkah, because whoever accepted Islam, the leaders of the Makkah stood against them and they used to torture them. So to skip that harassment, they skipped from Makkah. The next question is what was the important event in the subcontinent as mentioned in the last chapter? The significant event in the subcontinent in the 8th century was the arrival of Muhammad bin Qasim in Sindh. Sindh became a part of the Arab Umayyad Empire, and this event also foretold the establishment of Muslim rule in the later centuries. So that was the important event in the subcontinent that is also mentioned in the last chapter, that is the arrival of the Muhammad bin Qasim, who arrived in Sindh, that is nowadays where the Karachi is located. So he arrived there, and that was the beginning of the Muslim empire, like the Islam spreaded after the arrival of Muhammad bin Qasim to the Sindh, and because of his good deeds and because of the great effects of Islam on the people, and the people who had embraced Islam at that time, they were also strictly abide by the Islamic laws, so which impressed the others, and Islam, this is how Islam spread it a lot to different regions. So the next question is, how did Islam spread across North Africa, Asia, and parts of Europe? So Islam spread in different directions as a result of military campaigns, and traders and merchants also spread Islam when they traveled for trade purposes. So Islam was spreaded because of some military campaigns also, and because of the traders and merchants also, because people used to come from different countries for trade. So when they saw Muslims, so they were really impressed, and so they embraced Islam also, and they when they went back to their country, so this is how Islam was spreaded to different countries and different continents. So this is how the Islam spreaded to North Africa, Asia, and parts of Europe. So I hope that you have understood this all, and if there will be